have some more questions for you. This is the second portion. And our first question is, what's your thought process? So my thought process going into a book is that every single book has to have a purpose. If it doesn't have a purpose, I don't even want to write it. Where are we going? What's the point? What are the characters doing? Why am I writing this? What's the end result? There has to be some message or some growth or somewhere that they need to get before I can complete a story. If I don't know what their point is, then I can't finish, because there has to be some ultimate point. I don't just write anything because or for a trope. A lot of authors will write because a certain trope is hot. Firefighters are hot, or secret babies are hot, or billionaires are hot. I really don't care about any of that. I never pick a topic off of what's hot or what tropes are suggested. Pretty much it's the story that the characters tell. That's where my mind is always set. What are we here for? What are we telling? What are we gonna do? Where are you getting at the end of this? What lesson am I learning from you two as characters at the end of this book? Next question. How did you come up with the idea to have so many characters, families, know each other, interact? So, I knew that I was going to do the spinoffs after book 2 in the Legally Bound series, because then I knew that I was going into book 3, and that's when Yuri appeared. Yuri came to me in the shoe store when he first met Val. I could see this mahogany hair and this banging chick standing in front of him, and he's like, I need to know who she is. And then she turns around with these sunglasses, and I was kind of perplexed by the sunglasses until I realized why she was hiding, why she had them on. There were more details about Val, and then she began to reveal herself. And when they started to unpack themselves, I was like, oh, I don't want to put this in a Legally Bound series. I want to put this over here in a spinoff. And then I began to write Hush. And Luca, I knew he was coming because he was Pam's why she was running, because I knew Pam was running at this point after book 2. I knew that Pam was running, and then it came up that Luca was her why. So that's what caused me to spin off into Hush. Ballers, I don't know what made me link Ballers to the rest of them. Ballers was written before. I think it might have been written before Legally Bound, possibly. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Ballers was originally a part of a book I have under my Evie Lattimore pen name, Star. It's an AA book, and I was actually going to have Brad. Brad was halfway written. He was halfway written as the book 2 in that series. And then I was like, oh, this would fit better over here. And then I decided to link them as well. And like I said, the brothers started talking, and I was like, oh, okay. And we just kept linking. I love it. I love how it challenges me. When I write, I want to be challenged. I don't want to write anything that's going to be easy. I want the book to give me a challenge. And linking 7, I think it's 7 series now, 7 series across, that are actually linked to each other, that in itself is bananas. I still am in awe of the fact that I'm doing it. And it is a tremendous challenge to do. So I think that drove it, because I tend to get bored. So I wouldn't be happy if I just stuck with one same drab family, one same storyline, and just kept going with that. So that's also why you guys get a lot of series, and it may seem to you like I open a lot of series without finishing another one, but it's because I need to break state. I need to go other places. You know, I want to venture into what's being said in my head. So yeah, that's what made me decide to do the series and hook and loop and intertwine them, because I like a challenge. So the next question is, do all of your series intertwine? So as I said in the previous question, I think there are 7 series that are actually looping at the moment, but I have about 10 series in all. I think we're up to 10. And there are a few that don't link over and intertwine, like the Lost Soul series and the exclusive membership and the exclusive books on my site do not loop into the Legally Bound, and I don't think they ever will. However, they do link into A Million to Blow, which is about to come out. So that's a series and a segment that's linked together. Those all work together. Destiny is on its own, and I do believe that with Destiny, book 3 is either going to close that series or it'll segue into more of their siblings, but I don't think I'm going to loop them with anyone because they're like their own entity. And then there's Black Bella. At first, I was going to bring Black Bella into the loop with Legally Bound and Val. I played with making Val a relative of Victoria, but then I realized that I was definitely in my B's. And I was like, okay, Burleys, that's not gonna work. We're not gonna keep going with the B's. That's too close. You might confuse people. So I kept them separate for that purpose because of their names were too close for me. Valentina, Victoria, I didn't want to do that. So Black Bella will stay to itself, but I do believe that you're going to get a spinoff from there to learn more about her other family, her grandfather and all of them. So yeah, they don't all loop, but some of them loop and intertwine separately. Where the Pieces Fall, that series, the name of that series is the Lost Heart series. It does actually loop with the other books. And I wanted to clarify this too, because a lot of people think that the next Where the Pieces Fall book is Cameron's book, and it's not. His book is actually Ballers 3, and there's a reason for that. The room that Caleb's in the beginning of the book, when he's talking out in therapy, there are 4 other men in that therapy session, and they all have their own stories that are in that series. That series is that's why it's called Lost Hearts. That series is for those particular men that are telling their stories in that particular series. Like Trevor from Ballers 1 he's book 2 in that series. So not Cameron, but Trevor will be book 2 in the Lost Heart series, and those are going to cross over and loop and link, and that's why I have to you will see Trevor soon, because in order to do Ballers 3 I have to do book 2 in the Lost Heart series. So yeah, not all of them loop, but they have the ones that do loop with a purpose. How do you keep them straight in your head? How do you keep track of all the connections between the series? Again, I am so in awe that I am able to do this. Mind you, I don't have content editors that keep the continuity and look at this for me when it comes to the hooking and looping and making sure that the characters stay together. All of that is pretty much in here. I see it all in here. I know it all in here, and it's phenomenal to me because I'll write and, I'll put notes inside the manuscript while I'm writing it to go back and double check myself. And I do have a series Bible, which I bought the series Bible to show you all. So, ooh, this this beast is my series Bible. I have notes for all of the series that loop together in here. I actually had a reader who went through some of the Brothers Black books and helped me out and it gave me more notes, which I thought was really cool. But I'm still big on going back into the books to look for details too. So I usually use this when I'm done. I go back to look in here. For Toby, I actually had the timeline and the notes typed out in here so that I knew where I was going, because I knew that certain points had to hit. So yeah, this section here was all for this section here where you see the purple writing and things. This was all for Toby. The purple was what I knew I needed to get into book 3. The black was the italics was text from the book that would help me remember what was going on and what I wanted to get in. And then the notes above were like the timelines of what was going on, so that I was hitting the points that I needed to hit. I did use that for that particular book because they were going, because you were looking at it from the outside and you needed to know what was going on between the scenes, behind the scenes. So I did do that for that particular book. I didn't do that for Braxton. For Braxton, I kind of had like separate notes that were handwritten out that I went through to like count their ages and count when certain things happened in the other book to make sure I matched those up. In that book, a lot of that stuff I did intuitively and then went back and was like, yeah, because it hit. That book hit every single point. And I was just like, I was sitting in here. I think I even have a Facebook post that's like, yeah, well, like how do I do this? I am in awe of the fact that I keep these all together, and that I know what happened, and that I even set up situations in books prior that work perfectly later on. Like it's I don't know. I don't know how I do it. It's a gift, and I'm thankful for it. But I don't really use the series Bible much until I get to the end of it, when I need to like edit and make sure that my timelines are on point and make sure that I've targeted everything that I needed to target. My old cell phone used to have some notes in it of things that I wanted to touch, things that I might have forgotten for the Legally Bound series when I did Sam's book. But yeah, a lot of it is in my head, and you have to remember this. My characters are very, very vocal. So they will tell me if something is off. Yuri was very vocal about mistakes that I was making during writing his book. He was like, no, you gotta go back. At this point, she's not pregnant. That's not what's going on. Look at that again, and you'll see that you need to change this. So that often happens a lot too. The characters will tell me where I made mistakes, where I need to go back, and how to keep it together. So, when you write a book, do you already have ideas of how each book will connect to its successor? Because even if the next book you release isn't in the same series, characters tend to cross series, and books in a series released last year can blend and reference in book 1 in a new series. So some of the books I know, like Dr. Noby, I know he's coming up. Trevor, I know he's coming up. I know Trevor's story. I do know a lot about Trevor's story. There are some books that I do know the entirety of the story, like the Brothers Black. the rest of the Black family, I know their stories. I've known their stories for a while. Then there are other characters that have shown themselves, and they're like, oh, you'll come back to me. But you do need to know that you need to interject me into this book because you are going to come back to me. So if they're going to show up somewhere, they do show me glimpses of their story. They just won't show me the whole thing because it's not time. We're not ready. And, you know, I think that my characters and I are trying to create a balance in there so I don't lose it and they never get their story told. Because if it, you know, getting too noisy, I might need to go get me some Prozac. So they do cut me a break. You know, if it's not their turn, they remain as silent as they can. Felix was being disrespectful because he knew that Braxton's book was about to be over, so he's been like, but usually they do show that respect, and I will know that they're going to be a part, but not their whole story, their entire story. Next question. Well, actually, that was my last one for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, can go ahead and like and subscribe, and you'll find my website down in the bottom, and all the books are on Amazon and KU. If I mentioned any book that you haven't gotten to yet, go right over to Amazon. Most of my books are in KU. Funny Valentine is probably my only book that's not in KU right now. You can get that on Nook, Barnes and Nobles, or any of those places, Apple. So Funny Valentine is available wide, and everything else is on Amazon and KU. So thank you so much. Until next time.